What is the role of our churches in Kenyan politics? Because I want to submit to you that the blood of William Ruto is thicker than the blood of Jesus Christ in our churches. This is my own observation, ladies and gentlemen. I have watched the clergy when they allow politicians, especially those of the Kenya Kwanza team, to play dirty politics on our sacred pulpits. I wonder whether it is done in the mosques, because I understand that Muslims are a bit strict. Today, President William Ruto visited Kitale to grace the consecration of Bishop Henry Odonya of the Catholic Church. And one of the bishops spoke because politics took center stage. And he said something that is now the debate and the talk of town. Just listen to what this man of God had to say.
The way I would like to remind myself of two things. It was a very difficult moment, still not yet out of the woods. That I hear now people have started kuuliza nani alishinda, nani alishindwa. We thought we closed that chapter. Let's not start politics. Let's start working and walking what we all promise Kenyans. So this calls for all the clergy and religious men now and women to walk around their new bishop, sit down and ulizaneni, tufanyeje tusonge mbele. Tuko mbele. My good friend the cardinal says tumetoka mbali, tuko mbali na tunaenda mbali. We are all going far. Let's hold hands. Let's walk together. And I want to remind myself, even us, church and all churches, we are not competing with the government for anything. We are complementing each other, because the government has the duty to educate children. The church embraces them also. So partnerships are key to success in this world now. And listen everywhere. The nations are coming together. The tribes are come together. Even ushindi wa kura haukuwa ni kabila moja, ilikuwa ni vyama viliungana. So let's walk the world of partnerships. And that's why I like to, as I thank God and welcome my brother, just take an example. And I want to thank you, Your Excellency. And I want to thank you for coming on board and quickly setting teams that are going to think through education. Because that is one of our key component of success. Without education, forget it. We'll go nowhere.
In church, if you listen carefully to what the bishop is saying, they have crafted and are trying to perpetuate this narrative. Accept and move on. Because he's saying, we thought we had closed that chapter. Who is the we? The answer is very simple, ladies and gentlemen. That the clergy and the Kenya Kwanza team had crafted a plot that when they take power, then after some months, Raila and his supporters will accept, forget, and just move on. Because this is a narrative that is not being used for the first time. In 2013, in 2017, this is what happened. When your votes have been taken away, then you are told, we have moved past that. I want to submit to you in this channel that this is not how things are done. We are sitting on a time bomb. We cannot have a situation where we, have a lot of massive irregularities and election malpractices only to come back later and tell those who are crying foul that we move on regardless of the result. There are two conversations that are taking place in this country today. One of them is the allegation that Wafula Chebukati faced murder plot, that Uhuru Kenyatta wanted to capture him, kidnap him and murder and kill him. The other one is the whistleblower who came up with the results of the August polls and said that Raila Odinga won by 8 million against William Ruto's 5 million. Now this clergy is telling us that they thought we had moved on. This narrative of accept and move on cannot be accepted. A few months ago, the other bishop, Mr. Olesapit, went to Narok and he urged Mr. Olekenta to go and withdraw a case that he had lodged against the current governor, Mr. Olentutu, because he was telling Olekenta that we have moved on. You go and withdraw and see how we can work. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on is the best thing in life. Psychologists will tell you that when you lose a loved one, you have periods of progress. There is that period of denial, there is that period of acceptance, then the third one is now you move on after you have accepted. But in a situation where we have dirty politics in play, you cannot apply this. It's unaccepted. And in fact, moving forward, you are going to see government machineries. They are going to charge their social media group. They are going to charge journalists who are allied to them. You will see several political analysts on national TVs, on social media, telling people how we need to move on. We are past August elections. And they are going to elicit emotions about we are in a dilapidated economy. For the economy to grow, we don't need to play politics. Raila is just denying. And I want to say this, regardless of your political affiliation, whatever, we've set a precedent that is very dangerous for the coming generation. You see, we cannot live in a country where people wake up very early in the morning to go and vote, then their votes do not count. Then they are told, accept and move on. It's even sad when the people who are supposed to, try and reconcile the warring parties are the people who are playing non-partisan politics. I thought, in my very own view, that the first role of the church is to ensure that they reconcile the opposition and the government and stand for the truth, because Christ was speaking the truth regardless of the situation. Even if the idea was unpopular, Christ stood firm. Our history has shown us that during the Nyayo era, there were bishops and the clergy who stood firm, and they joined the opposition to fight for the second liberation. They identify and pinpoint when Moi was wrong. They helped the ordinary man to fight, and that is how we won the fight, and we came back to multipartism. Because people like Bishop Njoya, Ndingi Mwana Anzeki, and all the other clergy used to tell Moi on the face. In fact, during the Moi era, it was even more dangerous than today. They used to beat you in broad daylight, but they still stood firm. But hii yetu mimi sielewi. It's something that I believe should not be tolerated. Our churches must be neutral. I understand that they were captured during the campaigns and they really helped William Ruto to campaign. But now we know that William Ruto inherited a very divided country. And for the church to, instead of the church coming up to help in the reconciliation, they are busy dividing this even further. I see an element of, selective justice. I'm saying selective justice because the bishop is telling us there that he thought we had closed this chapter. In fact, in his own very considered opinion, he feels that we should not be playing politics. Well, for a moment, let me say, be that as it may, but why have they allowed the Kenya Kwanza team to play dirty politics in their churches every day? In fact, you go and just watch Rigathi Gachagua clips. Every Sunday when they go to church, Rigathi Gachagua has continued to, remind the bishops and the Kenyans of the predicaments that they went through in the last campaigns. And they have continued to demonize Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. I personally believe that politics is part and parcel of the life of a politician. And when I see them playing politics outside there, as long as it is positive politics, I don't have a problem with it, because Rigathi is a politician, William Ruto is a politician. In as much as is the president of the country, he should now just try to separate that I need to work for the people, but there are times to play some positive politics. But when the politics is being played in church, in fact, watch those occasions where they say they have interdenominational, meetings. The word of God will be preached for a quarter of the entire period that they are in church. The 3/4 of the time limit that is remaining, will be shared to play politics, reminding us of how Uhuru did this and we were persecuted. If the church feels that it is high time we stopped playing politics, then let them also tell off the Kenya Kwanza government. Let them tell them, Mr. President, we want to duly and humbly submit to you that we don't want you to play politics in our churches. But you cannot on one side accept the president, the deputy, and all the Kenya Kwanza team, to play politics. And in this crafted narrative, they only speak ill of the opposition, ule mtu wa kitandawili. But then, when they hear people start questioning whether the results were credible, then they say we thought they had moved on. We? Who is we? When President William Ruto came up with allegations that Wafula Chebukati was about to be murdered, I expected the church to come out and tell the president that, Mr. President, be that as it may, yes, there were allegations that he wanted to be killed, but he is now alive. So let us forget this, move on, give the Kenyans election pledges that you promised them. But they were very quiet, because what William Ruto was doing was pure politics. They were very quiet, and their silence was very loud. So when the opposition is coming up with questions that are really very pertinent, they are telling the opposition to shut down and to get silent so that Kenya can move on, they can grow the economy. How do you grow an economy with a divided country? How do you grow an economy when people are asking questions? Why don't we just discuss this? The best way to resolve matters. Even let me just take you back a bit. You go and question, if you're a Kikuyu, a Luo, a Luya, any other tribe, and go back to your traditional history, you will understand that whenever there are altercations among brothers or communities, the Council of Elders will be called upon to sit down katika meza ya mazungumuzo, and then they will iron out their differences. And in those meetings, there must be utmost good faith, where someone will say, well, I wronged you, but I apologize. This is what happened even in South Africa after they chased away the colonial masters. And Mandela came and they formed truth and reconciliation committees, where people said, hapa uliniendea vibaya. Even where you stay, the married couple who are watching this will bear me witness that communication is at the heart of the family. So that whether it is your wife or your husband who has wronged you, you can't just rubbish it off. The more you rubbish it off, you are piling pressure. It is like a volcano that is, those, we call them dormant. Are they dormant volcanoes or active? Which are dormant for some time, but later they will explode. I have a feeling that when there is a problem, we need to sit down. The clergy cannot claim that they want to gag the nation. The nation must talk. If the whistleblower came up with these allegations that Raila has 8 million and William Ruto has 5 million, why can't we discuss it? If William Ruto understands and is very sure that his hands are clean, that he won fair and square, what stops Kenyans from discussing this? And ladies and gentlemen, I have a feeling that the clergy has been compromised. I didn't see them talking when we had the discussion about the GMO. In fact, I think a part of the Catholic Church came out and talked about it, but the others were very, very quiet. when we have murders taking on here and there because the Kenyan population is very frustrated, the cost of living is very high, they are very quiet. They are quiet because we've seen William Ruto buying for them personal cars. He took one of the cars in Machakos. We've seen money getting into the churches, and this is why they are very quiet. I really want to plead with our churches to stand up for the truth, to be very non-partisan, because even my church where I go to, we worship a God, but we are people who are are affiliated to different parties. Those who are in Kenya Kwanza are, in fact, right now I'm from the church, and I know there are those who support Kenya Kwanza, there are those who support Azimio, but we don't play politics. All we preach is Christ. But in this, ladies and gentlemen, I want to submit again that the blood of William Ruto is thicker than the blood of Christ, and this must stop.